Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of Learn with Susan series, and today we are going to talk about the next important topic in English grammar, which is called as adjectives. Okay, so let me start off by telling you what is the definition of adjectives. Okay, so as you can see here, I've written two words. Okay, describe, modify. So adjectives are words that describe or modify nouns and pronouns in sentences. Okay, now it can be of any kind. Adjectives can talk about characteristics, quality or quantity of these nouns and pronouns. So I have provided three examples here. Now let's see what are the adjectives in each sentence. She wore a beautiful dress. Now this word beautiful is an adjective because it describes the noun dress. So I'm saying the dress that this person wore is very beautiful. So it shows the quality or the characteristic of that particular dress. Now the next one, he has 3 pencils in his box. So here I am using the word 3 to describe the number of pencils he has in his book. So 3 here acts as an adjective. Similarly here, John is smart. So I am describing the quality that John has in him, which is his smartness. So this is how you identify adjectives in English sentences. Okay, now the next aspect which is very important that need to be studied when we look at adjectives are the different forms of adjectives that we can use. Now why do we use it is because if in a sentence there are one or more subjects, okay, and we need to compare and contrast the different levels of the adjective that is used, we need to use different forms in order to make the idea clearer. Okay, now there are 3 main forms of adjectives that are used in English. The first one being positive or absolute form, second one is the comparative form, and the third one is the superlative form. So let's look in detail with examples what these forms are all about. Now the first one is the positive or the absolute form, and in this particular form we use adjectives in its original form. Okay, and here we only have one subject, which means we are talking about the quality or the characteristic of a single subject in a sentence. Now let's look at these 3 sentences. The book is interesting. So here my adjective is interesting, which is the original form of that particular adjective, and I'm describing one subject, which is the book. Okay, similarly in this sentence, the cat is naughty. So here the adjective used is in its original form and it's used to describe one particular subject, which is the cat. Third one, the pizza is delicious. Okay, so delicious is the quality that I'm using for a particular pizza that I have liked, and this word or this adjective is in its original form. So this is how positive forms of adjectives are used in sentences. Now the second form of adjective that we use is the comparative form, and as the name suggests, it compares 2 subjects in a particular sentence. Okay, now these 2 subjects should have the same quality in order to be compared. Okay, now how do we compare or how can we identify? We can either use ER at the end of the adjective or use more in front of that particular adjective. Okay, so for some adjectives we use ER and for others we use more in the front of it. Okay, now here are some examples given. This book is thicker than that one. So I'm comparing 2 books which I have with me, which one is thicker and the other one is a little thinner than that. So the 2 books which has the same quality of thickness, and I'm using the adjective, the comparative form of the adjective thick. Okay, so when it comes in the comparative form, I'm adding er to it, so it becomes thicker. Okay, now here I'm using the adjective pleasant. So when the sentence it comes like, the weather is more pleasant today, which means it is more pleasant than what it was yesterday. Okay, so I cannot use pleasanter, which is wrong. I have to use the word more along with it, more pleasant. Okay, now the next one, she is smarter than her brother. Now there are two siblings that are compared here, a brother and a sister, and the quality is smartness. Okay, so the adjective smart is used in the comparative form where I have used er along with it. Okay, so she is smarter than her brother. So whenever you have comparative form of adjectives, always remember to use the word than. Okay, in most of the sentences, especially when er occurs, we say thicker than, smarter than, thinner than, fatter than. So there are many examples like that. Okay, so this is how comparative form works in English language. Two subjects are compared. You either use er at the end or the word more in the front of an adjective. So you have to study. There is a huge list of adjectives in their comparative form where some use er and where others use more. Now the last form of adjective that we have is the superlative form, and it compares three or more subjects that have the same quality. Now it is often used to represent one subject among all of them as the superior of all. Okay, now just like how we used er and more for the comparative form of adjective, in superlative adjective we use est at the end of some adjectives, or we use most in front of other adjectives. Okay, so here are two examples of each that I've provided here. She is the smartest student in class. So I've used the word or the adjective smart in its superlative form by adding est at the end of it. Okay, so I'm talking about a particular girl who is having the quality of smartness which is the best among the whole of her class. Okay, so among all the students, she is the one that has the superior quality of smartness. So that is why I have used est at the end of that word smart. Okay, now similarly in the next one, today is the most pleasant day of the week. So I cannot use pleasant test, which is wrong. There is no word as such in English. We have to use most to help. Okay, the word pleasant. So I'm talking about today, okay, which is one among the 7 days of the week, which is the most pleasant, okay, which is the most pleasant. The weather was beautiful. So in order to describe that among all the days of the week, today is the most pleasant of all. So I'm giving the superior quality of pleasantness for today. Okay, so this is how we use superlative forms in English. So adding est at the end or putting the word most in front of adjectives. So I've given you a list of some examples of different forms of adjectives and how they can change their spellings according to different rules. Okay, now there are some adjectives like important, beautiful, careful, where I cannot use er and est at the end of it when it comes to comparative and superlative forms. Why? It is because they are quite long, and if I add er or est, it becomes unclear and it becomes very awkward to pronounce it. Okay, so this video is concluded here. This was part 1 of adjectives. Please stay tuned for the part 2, where I'll be discussing more interesting and important aspects of adjectives.